John, a seasoned rideshare driver, navigated the city streets. The hum of the engine and the distant chatter of late-night radio kept him company. He had seen it all, from the bustling downtown to the quiet suburbs. Neon lights blurred, a familiar symphony of urban night. The city was alive, yet it felt like a ghost town in certain corners. Another fare, another dollar. He checked the app. New request. Unusual location. The address was on the outskirts, a place he rarely ventured. Desolate outskirts. John hesitated, then accepted. The road stretched out before him, dark and empty, with only the occasional streetlight to guide his way. John reached the pickup point. A lone figure stood beneath a flickering streetlight. The light cast eerie shadows, making the figure appear almost ghostly. The figure entered. A woman. She moved with a certain grace, yet there was an air of mystery about her, dressed in a long dark coat, face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. Her presence was both intriguing and unsettling, leaving John with a sense of unease. "Good evening," John greeted, trying to sound cheerful. Silence. The woman remained motionless. Her gloved hands clutched a worn, leather-bound book. "Where to?" John asked, trying again. The woman spoke, her voice a low, raspy whisper. "Take me to the address in the app," she instructed. An unsettling feeling crept up John's spine. He dismissed it, focusing on the road ahead. Silence hung heavy in the car. The kind of silence that makes you hyper-aware of every little sound, every creak and rustle. It was almost suffocating. John stole glances in the rear-view mirror, his eyes darting back and forth. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The woman sat unnaturally still, eyes fixed on the book. She hadn't turned a page in what felt like hours. Her reflection seemed off, like a glitch in reality. It was as if the mirror was showing a different version of her, one that didn't quite belong. He tried making conversation. "Long day?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. He needed to break the tension. "You could say that," the woman finally replied. Her voice was flat, devoid of any emotion. Her words hung in the air, thick with unspoken meaning. The silence that followed was even more oppressive. John's grip tightened on the steering wheel. His knuckles turned white as he tried to steady his nerves. Something wasn't right, he just knew it. The air was thick with unease, and he couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. They reached the destination, a deserted graveyard, shrouded in fog. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves. Shadows danced in the mist, creating an unsettling atmosphere that made John's skin crawl. The woman finally looked at John, a sly smile spreading across her face. "Thank you for the ride," she rasped, her voice carrying an otherworldly echo. John felt a shiver run down his spine as he tried to make sense of the situation. Her eyes flickered an unnatural yellow, glowing like two sinister beacons in the dark. John's blood ran cold, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew something was terribly wrong, but he couldn't move, paralyzed by fear. She was gone. Vanished. The only evidence of her presence was the lingering smell of damp earth and decay. John frantically looked around, but there was no trace of her. It was as if she had never been there at all. John slammed the car into drive and sped away, his hands trembling on the steering wheel. The fog seemed to close in around him, making it hard to see the road ahead. He drove faster, desperate to escape the nightmare. He never picked up another stranger again. The memory of that night, a chilling reminder to trust his gut, always. The haunting experience left an indelible mark on his soul, a constant reminder of the unknown dangers that lurk in the shadows.
Have you ever received a phone call that sent chills down your spine? One that made you question everything, your safety, your trust, even your own reality? Well, I did. And it happened on a night that was supposed to be filled with nothing but joy, laughter, and holiday traditions. Christmas has always been a big deal for me and my girlfriend, Catherine. We met 3 years ago as freshmen at Stanford, my dream school since I was 8. Both of us are from Ohio, her from Cincinnati, and me from just outside Columbus. Maybe that's why we clicked so fast. Being two Midwesterners in a sea of Californians made us feel like we had a little piece of home together. One tradition we started was splitting Christmas between our families. Every year we spend Christmas Eve with mine, then pack up around midnight and make the 2-hour drive to her parents' house to be there for Christmas morning. It's become something special, almost sacred. But this past Christmas Eve, something happened that neither of us can explain. Something that still keeps me up at night. That night started just like every other year. Cozy family dinner, heartfelt conversations, and the warmth of being home. By midnight, we said our goodbyes, loaded up the car, and hit the road. Light snow dusted the empty roads, and as always, we blasted Juice WRLD on the speakers, singing together like we were the only two people left on Earth. But then my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Normally I'd ignore it, but something about seeing that number in the dead of night made me pause. I shrugged it off, let it go to voicemail, and kept driving. Catherine joked that telemarketers must be working overtime, and we both laughed. But then, a few minutes later, it rang again. Same number. I felt a flicker of irritation, but ignored it again. Catherine noticed, raising an eyebrow. "That's weird," she said. I nodded, but inside, unease was starting to creep in. When the phone rang a third time, I'd had enough. Without thinking, I snatched it up and answered. "Hello?" My voice came out sharper than I intended. Silence. Then, a faint crackling sound. Static. I was about to hang up when I heard a voice. "Hello, Luke." I nearly swerved off the road. The voice was calm, almost amused. But that wasn't what made my stomach drop. It was the fact that he knew my name. Before I could respond, he continued, reciting personal details about me. My full name, my address, the fact that I was driving to Catherine's house. My grip on the steering wheel tightened. My mind raced. No one outside of our families knew our holiday plans. No one. I swallowed hard and forced myself to speak. "Who is this? What do you want?" A pause. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "I'm not here for you. I'm here for Catherine." I shot a glance at Catherine, and the look on her face confirmed it. She was just as terrified as I was. My heart pounded in my chest. I tried to play dumb. "I don't know any Catherine. You've got the wrong number." He chuckled, a low, knowing laugh. "She's sitting right next to you." That was it. I pulled over, hands shaking, trying to process what was happening. Before I could say anything, Catherine reached over and hung up the phone in one swift motion. "What the hell? Why did you hang up?" I don't know. I was scared." Her face was pale, her hands gripping her lap tightly. I don't know. I was scared. I tried calling the number back once, twice, 3 times. Nothing. It was like the call had never happened. The rest of the drive was silent. I didn't turn the music back on, I didn't say another word, and for the first time in 3 years, I wasn't sure if I fully trusted Catherine. It's been a month since that night, and we still have no answers. We asked our families. None of them had any idea what we were talking about. Catherine insists she doesn't know anything, but I can't shake the feeling that something is off. You might think I'm overreacting, that it was just a weird prank. But no one else knew we'd be on that road at that exact time. And every time my phone rings now, I brace myself, because I know he's going to call again. It's just a matter of time. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.